On this episode, I'm with Noel Desilets, a physics major turned biology major turned licensed general contractor. He runs the best construction team in Tucson, and it was recently voted
best home remodeling contractor.
Wow. And also, stay tuned. At the end of the episode, he has a huge announcement, so you want to be sure to be there to hear that.
It's huge.
It's huge.
Like everything else that we're doing. I'm excited to talk about it. Thanks for having me, Scott.
Excited for the episode. Stay tuned. Hello. Welcome to episode 3 of ROI, Return on Investment podcast. I'm Scott Ottenreith, your host. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Very excited about the guest that we have today. We're here with Noel Desilets. Noel, very excited to have you on.
Thanks, Scott. Great to be here. I'm excited.
You should be. I'm excited about this episode. It's great content that we're going to give everyone. Noel, talk a little bit about your role, what you do, and what kind of work you're doing now.
So I'm one of the partners in Bar Investment Holdings, and my primary role there has been to build the construction branch of everything that we're doing around, real estate. Construction has kind of been my background primarily, and so it's a place that I've been pretty comfortable and excited to build that aspect of the company. So what kind of projects is the construction team working on right now? I think we got, 18, 20 projects going right now. We just closed out 2. We were at 22.
We're at 22.
We're at 22?
We were at 22.
We were at. I was like, something? We got more coming, Scott. You're always bringing them to us.
Yeah, that's true. So what kind of projects are they specifically? To name a few.
So we've got 4 major renovations to houses. We've got 2 more that are complete addition remodels where we're taking an 800 square foot house, even smaller maybe, and we're adding 1,000 to 1,300 square feet on them to blow them up. So we'll take a little house, it's like 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, turn it into a 5-3, and we got one right now that we've taken it down to 3 walls. We just got 3 walls left in the
and that was one from an investor that approached Ben and I, and she had this property, said, I bought it for $70,000. What do I do with it? And we kind of drew up a game plan and sent her off to you guys, and now you guys are facilitating the remodel.
Right. It's an enormous remodel. I mean, they actually had another idea in mind to do something smaller, but it makes a lot more sense. One of the areas that I'm really good at is identifying what the real possibilities are.
Sure.
And to maximize the returns for an investment. That's kind of a strategy area for me, and we really do a great job of performing and dialing in what the numbers are going to be and making sure they return. Yeah.
So along with, we do you guys are doing single family remodels.
Yep.
You guys doing bigger projects where multi-units?
Yeah, we've got actually 3 multi-units right now that are going, and one of them, one of the areas that we're really good at is taking an asset that's out there for a multifamily, like a 61-unit apartment complex that we have rolling right now, and we're actually going to go through and help reposition that as an asset by improving on the exterior and on the interior of the units, doing remodels and just making it look nice so we can actually increase the rents and the quality of the tenants and taking it from, a C-class up to a B-class, for apartment complex.
And with that one, we can talk specifically about that one. It's a great kind of value add there. They bought it for 3.3, this 61 unit, and we're going to do about $800K in remodel.
Yeah, it's going to be at least $800K.
$800K, and then that's going to be valued somewhere at around $6 million, $5.5 to $6 million.
It's
after they're done.
Stuff right there.
Yeah, so investors are going to be sitting pretty with that one. Any other projects that stand out right now that you think everyone should know?
Yeah, well, a lot of people might have seen this already on Facebook or whatever, but we've got that church renovation that we're doing just outside of downtown, and that one's been a long haul getting that through, a couple years actually. But the reality is just taking this 100-year-old church and turning it into these units that are residential and really cool downtown loft style with some nice decks and ironwork and steel stairs inside. Just got that industrial kind of modern look, but in a 100-year-old church. So the exterior of the building still has that flair.
Yeah, and for the marketing guys, let's roll some videos and pictures in the YouTube of that. So that church is awesome. I went by it this weekend. It's almost there. It's almost there. But that project is one of a kind. One of a kind.
It's a fantastic opportunity to work on something like that. It's not something that everybody has even the opportunity to do.
Sure.
And so for me, I feel really blessed. I was able to get in there and provide a lot of the design work in there. Was where I can really kind of be artistic and let some of that out. It's kind of my little
little side passion that you have there.
Yeah. It's a passion. I mean, that's one of the things about construction that I always liked was that ability to create it, whether you're designing a floor plan or tweaking an old house, turning it into something new. Really good at visualizing that and what opportunities are there.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about your story. How did you get involved in renovating houses? What's that story? When was the first time you picked up a hammer? Shoot.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, it comes full circle. It started with real estate. The reality is that when I was in college, I was studying biology. I actually went into college as a physics major. Okay, and
did that change pretty quickly?
That changed because I didn't. I was solid with math, but I couldn't keep up with astrophysics stuff.
Sure.
So I went into.
It's literally
biology.
Rocket science. So
literally.
I get you.
Went into biology, which was a passion of mine, a field I really loved and grew up around. Animals and nature. It was really something I loved. And while I was in college, I stayed in the dorm room.
Sure.
I actually it didn't make sense to me to rent. It just didn't make sense. I'm giving somebody else money to live here. Why? What's stopping me from buying a house? What's stopping me? What's in the way? Because I would rather invest in myself. And so I talked to this great real estate agent. His name was Brad Gorman. He actually he has a road named after him here in Tucson.
Oh, wow.
He's passed away now, but he was a fantastic guy. And I talked to him about this idea, and he led me to something that you guys push a lot, which is buying a place that has multiple units, and you can live in one and rent out the other and pay for it.
Live for free, house hacking.
Exactly. So that's what I did. I took my I don't know if I should say this, but I took my grant money because I was working full time to support myself through school, and I took my grant money and I used that as a down payment.
Sounds a lot like Ben Reilly, how he got started.
Yeah, it is a lot like that.
That's funny.
So I didn't have any other money. So this place was run down, needed repairs.
Sure.
And I had to figure out how to do some of the stuff on my own. And that was kind of the start of it. I had some background. I worked when I was in high school. I had my own apartment. My parents were actually in Arizona, here in Tucson, and I was in New Hampshire going to high school.
Going to high school?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I had a full-time job, an apartment, and I supported myself there, and I supported myself by working in a lumberyard. I worked.
Got it.
And so I was around those construction pieces even then, and I learned a lot being in that space. So when I had the property that I needed to fix up, well, it just made sense. I started, fixing things and improving it as best I could.
Learning as you went.
Learning as I went, yeah.
Wow. Wow. So you had, was it a duplex?
It was a duplex.
It was a duplex.
Yeah.
You still own it?
I still have it.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Got to hang on to the first one.
Yeah, you got to keep that one. So then from there, what happened?
So I have a biology degree.
Sure.
And I was looking at going into some health-related fields. And, it didn't have any upside potential that I was looking for. And I really liked the idea of the real estate. I mean, at that point, I was saving money,
You caught the bug.
Right. So I started looking at other opportunities. What else can I do? Can I do this again? Can I multiply this?
Sure.
And so then I took a little bit of time to figure it out because I just had to figure it out on my own. Mm-hmm. And I ended up getting another property and moving into that one. It was a space that I moved into that I actually worked in there.
Wow.
It was a group home for developmentally disabled adults.
Wow.
So I was very familiar with the house. I had the real estate agent approach me and say, I'd like you to take a look at this. I'm like, I know that house. So I know that house inside and out.
Wow.
And put out an offer and moved into that as a residence and then rented out the other side of the duplex. Just that multiplication.
Yeah.
Leverage, right?
Snowball effect.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So then now you have 4 units at that time. Then where did becoming a licensed general contractor come into play?
Well, I guess I ended up just needing to do a lot of work. That second house, we actually were working on the house to satisfy FHA requirements for the house.
Yes.
Before we closed. I was over there myself fixing the house.
Lovely FHA.
Because we weren't going to get any credit off the deal.
Sure.
So to make the deal close, we actually went over there, and this was in December. It was pretty cold for Tucson, and we actually worked on the house.
Wow.
My wife and I, and we fixed it up enough to get past the FHA requirements and closed on it, and that was a pretty special day.
It's a little roller coaster there.
Yeah.
My
gosh.
Gosh. Okay, so then after that, what happened?
So then I realized that in fixing the houses and getting to know people that fixed houses that I really liked it. I really I enjoyed it, and that I was pretty good at it.
Yeah.
So it made sense to start working in a career that I could have no limit to what I was doing, and I could build a company surrounding my skills.
Exactly.
I didn't want to do all the stuff with biology because I had a family, so it just made sense for me to start working towards building a construction company and getting better at that skill so that I could get more money to buy more properties.
Sure. So when did you get licensed?
I actually worked for a long time without a license.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of things that we've solved now.
Sure.
That the license is expensive.
It
You've
is.
got all the insurance, and you're competing with people out there that aren't licensed a lot. And it just at some point it makes sense for you to understand all the liabilities involved and to understand the value behind all that money that you're spending on the license. I'm not worried about those guys that are not. I'm not worried about competing with those guys because I'm providing a level of safety.
Sure.
And a level of protection and against liabilities. You go through a couple things where you wished you had that protection, and next thing you know, I almost had my finger cut off on a job once. And, you go through a couple of those incidents, and you start thinking about those things pretty heavily.
I gotcha. So when then let's kind of backtrack. When was the time that you met Ben? Did you meet Ben first before Jake?
It was all around the same time. The interesting thing is that Ben actually made an offer on the house, and I remember him telling this story on your podcast, and it was pretty funny, because I was working on my house, which was 2 doors down from that.
There it is. It's full circle, man.
Yeah,
full circle.
And I wasn't in the right position to make an offer on that same house. But I tell you,
you wanted it.
I would have beat them both out with what I wanted to offer. I'll tell you that. And it's great because it ended up being that there were 4 houses in a row, and we had 3 of them.
Oh my gosh! You, Jake, and Ben had 3 of the 4.
Right. So, and I met Ben when he was basically walking around his house, and he saw me working on mine and came over and said, "Hey, what are you going to do with this when it's fixed?" And I said, "Hey, I'm actually going to rent it out." And I thought, "Who's this young cocky kid?" And I said, he said, "How much are you going to rent it for?" And I said, $1,300. And he said, "Well, what is it worth if I can get you 1,600? And I'm like, you 1,600? You really think you can get that? And he said, yeah. So if I can, will you give me something? And I'm like, heck yeah. I'm like, especially if you can rent it out the way it is now, which is what he said he could do. He had people over looking at it the next day.
Oh my gosh.
So I was impressed. And when he walked away, my wife looked at me and she said, he reminds me a lot of you when you were younger. And I was like, really? I was like that. He's pretty cocky.
Yes.
But in a good way. That confidence really inspired me. And I was like, there's somebody I want to work with.
Sure. Because he was knowledgeable, too. He wasn't just young and cocky. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Understood real estate, which is pretty rare for somebody like that,
Yeah.
Understood the idea of leverage, understood, what I was doing with the property, saw the gains from the capital improvements, and to talk to somebody that, didn't have what I would expect to be the experience was pretty impressive.
So, I mean, it's very similar to how Jake met him. He came up to him, started that conversation, asked to buy the house that Jake was working on, and they both kind of realized that Ben was knowledgeable. So you both kept him in your worlds, correct?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So then from there, you, Jake, and Ben kind of launched what is now the company.
Right.
In a way.
Yeah.
So talk
definitely.
about that partnership.
I think that at first it was kind of I was able to provide a lot of value with my construction knowledge and pick up pieces and plug in some places that made sense for other investors on their houses. And so that was the first iteration of what we were doing. And then we ended up having 3 houses all on the same street that I ran the construction on all 3 of those projects at the same time, while Ben was able to go and focus not on that construction aspect, but he was actually able to go and put the pieces in place to formally handle the property management aspect.
Sure.
And start to build that branch. So Jake actually came to Tucson as an investor because he saw the value in what we were doing and said, hey, this is what I want to do too. We need to find a way to scale this up and to find more properties and build something bigger.
And that's kind of where it started.
That's where it started, yeah.
That's awesome.
And just built from there.
And now you're running 18 projects at a time.
Yeah, now 18, 20 projects going.
That's scaled pretty well.
Yeah, and we added on the sales team. You guys are running that. So that's a fantastic piece as well.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about your story. There's a lot of negative connotations with general contractors sometimes. Would you agree? Do you have any horror stories of other contractors that you heard about?
I've seen so much. Every day I see something new. I mean, I've opened up ceilings and found spliced lamp cord that was used as electrical wiring. I mean, I've just seen so many things where shortcuts are taken.
Sure.
And it ends up causing disasters later on. A lot of these people out there just flipping homes fast. They watch these TV shows and they don't understand there's a lot more that goes into it. And they just make something look pretty by slapping some paint on it. Well, underneath the paint you got termites and that always comes out when they sell or it comes out years down the road where you got some bigger issues. So I've seen most of them are unlicensed because there's no protections in place. You don't have any fallback with the state, with registrar of contractors. So I've seen some people that actually one of the houses on Waverly that we bought is a good example. That house there was they had a contractor in place. He had a contract and they did so much work and then said, well, it's costing us a lot more money and your money is all used up, so we're out. And the poor people that owned the house couldn't finish it because they'd given that contractor all their money, and it was boarded up for several years, just vacant, and they didn't have any way out. So I was able to help get them out of that house by purchasing it and then fixing it. So we see that all the time where people don't understand what they're getting into, and we have to pick up the pieces because they get in over their heads with contractors that are not reputable, don't understand how to price things, and take the job south pretty quick.
So we have a lot of listeners not in Tucson, so they can't really use your services. What would you recommend someone do if maybe they have a property or they're looking to get into real estate investing? In your opinion, how can they identify a reliable, trustworthy contractor?
Well, I think, the first thing is the license. But that's not the only thing. Because the reality is there's also some licensed contractors out there who don't have the knowledge. They just somehow
got the license,
skirted the system, learned enough to pass the tests, and then, made up some experience or whatever. So you need to make sure that they have some history, real history, not made up history, not just some pictures of somebody else's job on their phone. Make sure they actually did it. Ask them to talk to somebody. I have no problem with putting people in touch with other clients that I've worked with, and the clients that we've worked with, I have no problem putting on the phone because the reputation matters and references matter. So get the references, talk to if you can talk to some of the people that they work with, not even as clients, but as suppliers or as vendors, as subcontractors. The reality is that if you can determine whether or not they have the real knowledge, that's the key.
I mean, it's vital to get a good contractor on your team if you're going to start any kind of real estate investing, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely vital. I mean, most real estate investors are not going to do the work themselves. It's very rare you have somebody, like Ben or I, that comes in at 20 years old, and starts working on a house.
So that's kind of it's a good segue into my next question. In the first two episodes, we had Jake and Ben kind of talk about their first properties where they did most of the work themselves. Are there any specific kind of repairs that you recommend people hire out that maybe it's unsafe for them to handle themselves? Electrical, roof, do you have any?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that there are some things there. I think that, one of the pieces is obviously understanding, some level of structural. I mean, you can't just go knocking a wall down. You might end up with the whole house caving in, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be a structural component. So that would be something, at least consult with somebody and understand what's going on.
If you want to change the layout of the house.
If you want to actually move walls and change things around. It's pretty easy for people to learn how to hang cabinets or paint or, even do some flooring. But when it comes to the intermediate stuff, like the electrical, I've seen so many things that are wired wrong because people don't understand electricity. And it can be dangerous. You're like, well, I'll turn off the electrical and that's great until somebody turns it back on. Had that happen with a client before. That's fun. So, the plumbing is another one that I would just, permits. If you get permits in place, you're going to be covered because you have the city inspectors coming out. They'll kind of guide you. They're pretty good at telling you what you got to fix as a homeowner. But you want to make sure that it doesn't back up on you. We want to make sure that your joints and your supply pipes are strong enough that you don't end up with them bursting and causing a flood. Yeah, because that's not a good claim for the insurance.
So structural, electrical, plumbing, anything else that you recommend that they should probably hire out before looking on YouTube on how to fix it?
Well, I mean, I would say that probably roofing is probably a big one as well. There's shingle roofs, maybe not that bad, but we have a lot of flat roofs in Tucson. And flat roofs, there's some cold systems out there. It's not necessarily a safety hazard, but it's going to be a detriment to the property if it's not done right. Yeah. They're going to have leaks and they're going to cause more damage. You're better off just getting a professional to handle that. Okay.
And then if they're going to hire out, make sure that they find that the contractor has a reputable work history.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and a solid license with no complaints. And insurance.
So after all of this, I've heard you have a big announcement that's going to be announced on this podcast alone.
I wanted to share it with you.
You've been wanting to share it on this one.
Yeah. So, formerly we were DR Construction Services. And we're actually changing the name to be more in line with the overall vision of what we're doing to Apex Development and Construction. So
Apex.
Apex.
How long has this been in the works?
We've had this idea now for about a year. We actually talked about it before then, but kind of wanted to maintain some level of separation. And,
sure.
But the reality is that's not the direction that we're going.
Yeah.
And so as we look more towards the development end and trying to focus on assets within funds that we're developing, it just makes more sense for us to combine it and to really bring the name full circle.
Yeah.
So Apex Development and Construction is where it's going.
That's awesome. And we have David's got the sites all ready to go, almost, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's looking real good.
Yep. Now that it's out there, it's time to move.
Yeah.
That's where it went.
Got to do some homework now.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome. We're all very excited about Apex Development. It was a long time coming.
Yeah.
And we're glad it's finally here. So now we're going to ask the general set of questions for all the listeners. I've taken away the lightning round because it is not a lightning round. In no way, shape, or form when they answering questions quickly. So I'm taking it away. But these are just going to be questions that we're going to ask every guest on the show. So first one is, what is your favorite real estate or business related book that you've ever read?
Oh. Okay. I've read a lot of books.
You have.
Books are solid. Yeah. Learning based, right?
Learning based.
Got to stay learning based. And I'm reading one right now. It's called Principles by Ray Dalio.
Oh, okay.
But I can't call that my favorite because I'm not finished with it, right? So we'll see how that one goes. I just finished up Simon Sinek. Find Your Why, which is a companion to Start With Why.
Yeah.
Love Simon Sinek.
He's a smart guy. He's very solid.
Yep. We're
gonna go with that one.
We'll go with Simon Sinek. We'll start with why.
I think that's a good option. So, what's the weirdest project you've ever had to do in terms of renovation? You could say the church, but we've already talked about that one.
The weirdest project ever.
You walked in the house and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Actually, it's one we're about to start.
Really?
Yeah, it's one we're about to start right now. It's historic, so we had to get through historic.
What property is it? Talk a little bit about it.
This one is it's near the university. It's in a historic area, and it's right now. It's had a bunch of additions scabbed onto it over the years. Somehow they have record of it downtown, but none of them were ever permitted. But there's a record showing the floor plan, so it's okay, I guess. And they're just done poorly.
Okay.
And so we're trying to navigate how to take that. It's 2 units right now. We're going to turn it into a single family house.
Really?
Yeah, that'll be 5 bedrooms and 3 baths. And because it's an old house in a historic area, there's 2 small additions that we're doing just to kind of make the layout work.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is just unusual. We're going to beam across a couple areas, and the reconfiguration has been tricky.
Okay.
So,
right.
and because you've got all these additions scabbed on, we basically got to rip them off and redo them.
Do you have any pictures of it?
No.
Okay.
We're just getting started on the demo. So,
if we get some pictures, David, can you roll them through for the YouTube? Cool. So that's the weirdest project.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
you've done a lot of weird.
Yeah, I've done a lot of weird
projects.
That
one is
okay. Pretty good at weird.
Okay, so give me 3 goals that you want to accomplish in the near future, 1 to 3 years.
So I want to get the construction team that's going to be led by Robert Schneider. I mean, he is a rock star in that world, and he is so knowledgeable. I want to see him take this to the next level and be able to develop a commercial division. And also to be able to support twice as many projects at a time.
So moving towards 40.
Yeah.
At a time.
Yep.
Okay.
So we need to run 40 projects at a time to get to where we want to go.
It's time to scale. It's time to scale. Okay, so that's goal number 1. What's number 2?
Number 2?
Yeah.
Is to develop a portfolio of properties that are that we're managing as an asset portfolio of $100 million.
Okay.
Not just ours, but for investors. We want to have that in place for $100 million in 3 years. That's our goal.
3 years. Okay. And what's the goal? Why 100 million? What's the kind of logic there, the philosophy?
So we feel like that's the point at which it really stands alone to support the scale that we want. And it is that push on the flywheel that's going to continue to self-support, self-sustain. So that's the number that makes sense for that to happen.
I didn't even know about that, but that's exciting. Gotta do some work now. Gotta get some work.
It's time to get some work.
Okay, so number 3. And it can be personal related too.
I'm trying to determine my next fitness goal. That's what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to kind of leave it open-ended, but I really want to, right now I'm exploring the idea of doing a triathlon. I know there's a couple other people out here that are talking about
I feel like the
that.
entire office is doing a triathlon.
Yeah, so I don't even know. Maybe I don't want to do that because I want to be on a bandwagon.
Yeah. So if that's what I was kind of going to talk about, what's been your fitness journey throughout the last couple of years?
So I got to a place that I was at about 210 pounds, and I realized a large part of it was because I was running the company instead of running in the field, and I didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel like I was in the place where I wanted to be, so I decided to take some action. I wanted to be able to. I think. I had somebody ask recently, what was the turning point? I think that I ran between one house and another house, and I was huffing and puffing and had a hard time. I don't even know why I was running, but I just was like, this isn't where I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be around a long time to support the people around me. I want to be around a long time for my family. I want to be around. So I want to make sure that I'm taking care of myself. That's important. And so I decided to start working on that, and I get into the gym regularly, started running, and I went paleo in my diet for a while, started losing some weight.
Yeah, you did.
And then I decided to go completely keto. So now I'm completely keto, and it's a change in lifestyle for me. It's not just a diet. It's not just
it's a lifestyle thing once you go to that point.
Yeah. So. And I fully embrace it. I'm doing great with it. People talk about taking cheat days. I don't really have to do that. I'm building muscle. I'm getting stronger, and I'm in better shape now than I was when I was 30 years old.
It's become a habit for you at this point. It is a habit.
It's a habit that I enjoy. I look forward to it. In fact, I wish I had more time to spend on it.
Sure.
Because I really do enjoy it that much. And so I've lost. I'm down to 153, 155 pounds, somewhere around there. So
better shape than you said when you were 30.
Better shape than I was when I was 30.
Wow, that's awesome. So that also segues. What are your hobbies outside of real estate? So working out is one. Do you have any others that you love to do?
I love working. I look forward to getting in the office and getting things done. I just enjoy that.
Yeah.
So because I'm passionate about that, and it makes me feel, that's what I just love to do. I love to do everything I can to support the people around me.
Sure.
And so I've had other hobbies in the past. I'm going to go hunting this year.
Oh.
So that'll be fun. I got a deer last year. I'm going to go back out this year. People might get upset. I don't know if I'm going to say that. But, I've definitely had other hobbies that I've done. I like riding motorcycles, dirt bike riding. I miss that. I haven't been able to do that much recently. But the reality is that I love what I'm doing working every day, that I consider that, enough.
Yeah, and I want to, you're here probably at 8 o'clock at night every night, and then you go to the gym after. So you're a very hard worker, and you've earned that weight. You've earned where you're at with the company. You earned that 20 projects, and you're going to earn the 40 projects at a time too. So if you want to look at someone who works hard, look at Noel Desilets, because you've earned it.
Thanks, Scott. I appreciate that.
So everyone, that was our last question.
That was it?
That was it.
Oh, that was,
so
that's too
everyone,
bad.
if you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Like I said, we're going to release an episode every week. So stay tuned next Sunday for episode 4. But
you're
going to tune in, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So very excited about it. Noel, thank you for joining the show, giving out some great advice to people looking to invest in real estate. Anyone, if you have any questions, want to reach out to us, check out our website. It'll be in the description. So thank you so much for tuning in.
Thanks, Scott.
See ya. Was it good content? Did you like it?
Content good?
Was it good, Josh?
I was worried about the content.